The game overall was thoroughly entertaining. Luis, is it a missed opportunity, though, for Liverpool, considering they were playing against 10 men for the second half?
No, well, of course, when you play against a top team, you know that it's going to be difficult and there is a chance that you make a small gap between you and them, but it's very difficult. I tried to explain, again, in social media, and I'm trying to explain here, when you play against 10 men, it's even more difficult than when you play against 11, because when you play with 10 men, you know that you have to make an extra effort. You go back, you drop back, and you get very compact. You don't allow, or the manager doesn't allow many players to go forward, to don't leave space for the other team. And you don't want to get tired because you know that it's going to get intense. In 45 minutes, there is a lot of run. So at the end, people doesn't understand that it's very difficult. When you got 9 players in front of you and you have to try to break it in 20 meters, there is no way. It's very difficult. Maybe a mistake from there, maybe got rebounds. That's why Liverpool has been trying from outside the box, I think in a very good way, try to make a strike from outside the box, to try to make the defense and midfielders go out to stop those, close down to those shots. But at the end, it's very difficult. There is no space, and we are talking about one of the best in Premier League defending, and he proved it last year. So not easy, not easy. I think it's a good point that you take against Chelsea, thinking about that you were losing in the first half. So I think a good point and moving forward.
Don, how cool was it to see Anfield at full capacity for such a big game?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, the atmosphere was there, the adrenaline was there, the colour, the noise. It's always goosebumps when you hear "You'll Never Walk Alone" before the game, and it was like, even the Chelsea fans, to be fair, they created a brilliant atmosphere. But the game was super intense. You know, the first half, I thought the pace that both teams set was electric. I think, and with Louis in terms of how difficult it is to play against 10 men, it can be hard. I think Chelsea had 8 outfield players behind the ball, Lukaku up front on his own, trying to sort of conjure some little magic when the ball went up to him. But at the same time, I think when you get to half-time and you come out 1-1, second half kicking towards the Kop end, I would like to have thought, when Jurgen Klopp does the analysis of that game, his team could have created more chance. But it was a wonderful game of football to watch.
It was fun, wasn't it, Shan?
It really was. And listen, Chelsea played their part as well. Despite being down to 10 men, as the boys rightly point out, they sit deep, they soak pressure up, but they have an outlet in Romelu Lukaku, who at times provided opportunities for Chelsea to at least threaten Liverpool's goal. It wasn't just one of those where they sat back and did nothing for 45 minutes. So it quite easily could have swung the other way, but if you're Liverpool and you're at home and you're against Chelsea, even at Chelsea down to 10 men, and you come away with just a point, you feel it's a missed opportunity. You feel that game could have given you a whole lot more. At home, 11v11, you're thinking, as Liverpool, you're thinking you can win this game 11v10. I don't see why accepting a point is some kind of consolation.
Luis, kind of my takeaway from this game is how Chelsea have evolved so much over Thomas Tuchel, and they are very much now a big boy, a big contender in the Premier League.
Yes, they are, because the way they approach every single game is just fantastic. They build from the back. It's a team that is very well organized, very composed, with those 3 centre backs, and with an amazing creativity up front. I think with Lukaku, now they got a different situation there, because you know that you can play forward, he can hold the ball, he can drop the ball that back to Mount, to Havertz, to Pulisic. They got so many good players who can play in those positions. And when you get Jorginho, the best player last year, you get Kante in the middle, you got Kovacic, players who can get the ball, break lines, bring the ball forward. I think there is a total team. You got a fantastic player in every single line, and that way of pressing very high to try to exhaust every single player when they got the ball, I think is just fantastic. I enjoy watching them play, and I think they are a big contenders to win the Premier League this year.
Don, from a Liverpool perspective, how concerning is it? We talked about this a lot, haven't we? There's a sense that if the front 3 aren't firing on all cylinders, you don't really know where the goals are going to come from.
No, I think that's fair comment, Dan, but I think that's always been the case for Liverpool. They've never really scored too many goals from midfield, so the engine room in there has to make sure that's functioning for the front 3 to get their goals. I thought Harvey Elliott, was outstanding today. For a youngster playing at Anfield in this sort of atmosphere against title contenders Chelsea, I thought he was outstanding. I thought Liverpool looked a better side when Jota came on. I thought they looked a little bit more of a threat. I understand when Firmino's in, you know, how good and technically good he can be for the midfield players around him. But that is a worry. But just going on to Chelsea just very quickly, I think that's the difference when you have someone like Thomas Tuchel in charge. When you get an elite manager in charge of your football club, They produce results like that, backs against the wall, dogged display. At half-time, he said his team were fighting for them. All the characteristics of what you want from a title contender. But that comes from the manager. That is an elite manager, that. But that was a game of football where I think both managers before the game, if you said to Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel, would you take a point? I think they'd say yes. Under the circumstances, Liverpool have dropped 2. But listen, both teams unbeaten and they're sitting close to the top of the league. So not a bad weekend for both.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.